Street. I'm majoring in fisheries and wildlife. My speech to persuade is it ethical to allow performance enhancing drugs in sports? And I chose this topic because when I think about sports, I think about the big moments in sports history, whether you talk about baseball, the most home runs in the season, whether you talk about basketball, the most points scored in a single season, or a game, all these records and all these different professional sports, whether it be Olympic athletes too, as sprinters, as long jumpers, and runners, and all those Olympic sports that require professionalism and that are sanctioned by different health organizations to test for these type of performance enhancing drugs. But when you think about these big moments, whether you like to think about it or not, a lot of these big moments were fueled by performance enhancing drugs. Whether they beat the testing, and if you really think about it, in the NBA, a season is 82 games. And for a professional athlete to play 82 games in a season, give or take, plus practice, and even though they have state-of-the-art workout facilities and recovery trainers and all these advantages that they have that a normal athlete wouldn't have access to, but regardless, a human is just a human, and sometimes we injure ourselves and things. And to last longer, a lot of these athletes use performance enhancing drugs, but regardless of what you think about performance enhancing drugs, it can't teach you how to hit a fastball. It can't teach you how to throw a slider. It can't teach you how to shoot a basketball. It can't teach you how to throw a football. It can't teach you those technical things that are required in sports. But to think about it, what are the biggest names you think of in MLB that you know that admitted to steroid use or have tested positive for it? The names that you come to mind may think of Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, Jose Canseco, Sammy Sosa. And the record for the home run in a single season is held by Barry Bonds, and that's 73, and that's in 2001. And he tested for performance enhancing drugs. And the number 2 spot is Mark McGwire, and that's in 1998. And that's with 70 home runs. Sammy Sosa, number 3, with 66 home runs. Number 4, Mark McGwire with 65. Number 5, 64 with Sammy Sosa. Number 6, 63 with Sammy Sosa. Number 7, 62 with Aaron Judge, and that's in 2022, the most recent one. Number 8 is 61 with Roger Maris, and that's in 1961. Number 9 is 60, and that's Babe Ruth in 1927. And then number 10 is 59, and that's also Babe Ruth in 1921. But a lot could be argued and said that, well, with modern technology and the sports science that we have now, and the training and research that we do into workout equipment, to training methods, to shoes, to the way we train, breathing and all that. But in the competitive market of these highly level sports, you have to think only the best of the best can make to the professional leagues. But what about those others that don't make it to those professional leagues? What if we open up a league as to where they sign waivers, and maybe we could try a season of baseball that allows these type of things? And who's to say what that could do for science, as well as to see the vastness of human potential, as to see how far a human body can hit a home run, how fast a human being can run, how high a human being can jump. Just to see the vastness of human potential. And when I think about that, I think of Norman Osborn from Spider-Man, and before he turned into the Green Goblin, he said 40,000 years of evolution, and we've barely tapped the vastness of human potential. And with modern science and the way things are, and whether you think about it or not, performance enhancing drugs use is going to happen regardless, and there's ways to get around it, and even though testing is getting more stricter, and there's ways to get around it, and performance enhancing drugs isn't just these team sports as well as individual sports as boxing and MMA. Most famous boxer to get caught with performance enhancing drugs was Roy Jones Jr. And at his age where he got caught using it, he was already on his way out. And to stay competitive, he used performance enhancing drugs, but that to gain muscle mass, to gain strength, and to improve recovery time. But I think it's unethical to use performance enhancing drugs in combat sports because you can pack on all the muscle you want, but the brain can only take so much damage. And some of the best combat sports athletes have been victims to being, many strikes to the head, and what that does to them in the long term. Most famous athlete I think about when that is Muhammad Ali, and towards the end there, it's kind of sad, but that goes with most combat sports. So limiting the use of performance enhancing drugs to certain sports, I think, would be ethical. And just like everything in its infancy stage, it's not going to be the best. Think about when MMA was first introduced, how gory it was, and there wasn't a pay-per-view on it, and no weight classes. You had heavyweights fighting lightweights, and you could do 12 to 6 elbows, you could knee to the face, you could do all kinds of crazy stuff. But through time and as it grew, and now they have rules, and now it's one of the most popular sports today, and some of the most highest paid athletes are MMA fighters. And same with boxing. I don't think boxers or any combat sports should use performance enhancing drugs because, seeing a fatality in the ring or a life-changing injury, that's sad to see, and you don't want to see some of your famous athletes go down like that or change and never be the same again. And if you really think about it, the first world record in the 100-meter dash was 10.8 seconds, and that's in 1891, and that was held by Luther Carey. And then the most recent world record of the 100-meter dash is 9.58, and that was in 2009, held by Usain Bolt. And one could say, through time and evolution, and eventually it's going to get faster and faster. But with these sanctioned leagues is to where you could use these performance enhancing drugs, but as to a means is to limit it, as to where it doesn't get out of hand. Maybe it could get administered by a medical professional, and one can see how much one could take, and maybe these could be the athletes that don't make the big leagues, the ones that don't make the minors, because it's everyone's dream to make it big, and it's everyone's dream to get noticed. And the stats of college students that use anabolic steroids is 5% in the past year. So you think nationwide, and all the colleges, whether it be D1, D2, or all these minor leagues, junior colleges, 5% of those student athletes are on anabolic steroids. Maybe they haven't gotten caught, maybe they know how to beat the system, but that's just to get an edge, to get noticed, to make it big, But where do these athletes go usually if they don't make it big? Back to their hometowns and whatever. But I think this way of making these leagues is to where you can use performance enhancing drugs. Maybe these allow athletes to get a second chance, and just think about what that would do economy-wise to bring one to one city, and maybe eventually as it would grow, the major leagues would partner with it, and then it could be one of the higher paying things to watch. And who wouldn't want to watch athletes do what they do, but times 10 on performance enhancing drugs? You know, see how far someone can hit a home run, see how many home runs someone could get in the season or in a game, or how many points or how many yards rushed, or how many receiving yards, or how many yards he could throw a football. You know, all these things, but everyone gets a shot at that, so that's everybody doing it. And but the health negatives to it is, you know, roid rage, you know, that's a common side effect. You know, I'm not trying to forget about that. And the other ones, you know, of course, for males, one can develop breast from overuse. You know, this is in extreme cases as to where it's abused, you know, because most of these cases are in the world of bodybuilding. And in bodybuilding, they have the league, I guess, as to where you can use performance enhancing drugs and steroids. That's the crazy ones like Mr. Olympia. You know, a lot of the athletes that, like, you think about Arnold Schwarzenegger, Lou Ferrigno. You know, throughout the years, these big giant dudes, and everyone says, you know, with eat your greens and vegetables and get your vitamins, you can grow big and strong. But naturally, as big a human can get, it depends on your genetics, and with that, they do have a natural bodybuilding league, and that is natural athletes. But honestly, that doesn't get much attention as to the Mr. Olympias, the Mr. Universes. So you think about that, and a lot of your Hollywood actors are on steroids, because how do you think a lot of them get in major shape for these movie roles, and they don't get tested, you know, for things like that. But in the long run, you know, maybe they don't know how to administer these, and that gives them health effects. And a lot of these extreme cases are cases of overuse and abuse of these performance enhancing drugs. But what I was proposing is be administered by a medical professional. It could limit that use, and as to where these side effects wouldn't be totally bad, or to the point where it could be managed or limited to very little negative health effects. You know, but with time, you know, things will change, and a lot of the modern stars of today, you know, a lot of people don't really pay attention, and everyone likes to think about their favorite athletes, you know, back when they were young growing up. But then these athletes nowadays, you know, they're doing a study. A lot of the modern athletes aren't pulling in the same numbers as to, you know, your favorite athletes, and a lot of these numbers are dying. But one could say, well, that's illegal streamers. But with things changing and the NBA league as to where it is now, as to where you can get fined for just about anything, and all these rules, and you know, then how you remember football in the 90s or in the 70s and the 80s, the hard contact, you know, people grew up like that. But one could say, well, the NFL stands for not for long league. You know, one doesn't usually last very long in the NFL because of how gruesome it is. But these athletes know what they're doing. They train their whole lives to do this, and one could say, as an adult, you can make your own decisions, and if you want to do those things, and who's to stop you? And in the world of boxing, a lot of super fights you see nowadays, they don't happen. And how I'm going to relate this to performance enhancing drugs is, in Dubai, they had to start their own boxing league so they can make these like impossible fights happen. So with that, think about if, say, another oil trillionaire in Dubai starts a performance enhancing drug league and sees where that goes, and one can invest in, and maybe, who knows, maybe that can pull in numbers again, maybe that could help one city, help one's local economy grow. And think about, that goes to road construction, that goes to building, that goes to education. And maybe they could start a retirement fund for these athletes, or maybe have really big insurance checks. If they get hurt or one has health issues, they have a major pay, and one doesn't go empty-handed, and they have something set up for them, so every athlete benefits from something. Rather than some athletes, maybe they get injured in the NFL or the NBA, but through their contract, things don't work out and they don't get paid what they're supposed to. And a lot of these athletes go bankrupt and they don't usually have their bonuses from their respective leagues that they play for. And the call to action would maybe write into the sports leagues, or maybe vote on the matter to think about, but this is something that is controversial, but I'm for it, but limited to certain sports, limited to certain things, and I would say a big no-no for combat sports, obviously, because ain't nobody want to see no one get killed on live TV through roid rage, but with that, I just quote that same quote again, 40,000 years of human evolution. Who's to say what this could do for science in the long run, to see what the human body is actually capable of. And with evolution, as time goes on, things are only going to get better. Records are always going to get broke. The fastest time is always going to get beat. All the records shattered throughout time, But that's just with training and science and sports science. And maybe just a little boost from performance enhancing drugs. Thank you.